Hey everyone, this is Joshua Kirk here with you once again, and now it's time for episode 87 of Album of the Day, in which, once again, I'm gonna pretty much do another Yep Rock completist video, since this is where I review a CD that Yep Rock sent me when I became a member of their completist club. So, Yep Rock, if you're watching, this is for you. The man pretty much responsible for sending me a lot of stuff, and would have to be David Shaw at Yep Rock Records. He is one of the executives who works there, and he's pretty much sent me all the music that Yep Rock has sent me over the years since 2012. The first Yep Rock completist video that I did was last year when I reviewed the most recent Born Ruffians LP, which I got on CD. I had a choice of either getting all the albums on CD or vinyl, and I chose CD since I think CD is a little more convenient for me because I tend to buy CDs more often, but I still do love the warm sound quality of vinyl. It's just I don't buy vinyl really on a daily basis because it's usually pretty rare when I get to go to my local record store and buy an album on vinyl. So I'm here to review the first month where they sent me albums. Part of the Completist Club was 3 albums they released in July, and this is one of the first ones they sent me, which was one of them they sent me for July releases from Yep Rock. This one was released on July 10th, 2015, by a band from North Carolina that's known for, putting out a pretty unique sound with a wide variety of different instruments, and it has a lot of dynamic to it. So I'm here to talk about the latest album from a North Carolina band called The Old Ceremony. The album is called Sprinter. And let me say, one of my favorite album cover arts would have to be this one. It's on Sprinter. It's a pretty unusual cover art. It's like, there's like a cat that's jumping on there, but it's like a cross between a cat and a human, pretty much. So it kind of gives the album some sort of dynamic that, not very many music has today. So yeah, this is the CD copy of it. And there are the credits, and this is produced by Mitch Easter, who's pretty well known for working with R.E.M. and people like that. So he's a pretty legendary producer. And there's the CD. Some more artwork there. The members of this group are vocalist, songwriter, and guitarist Django Haskins, vibraphonist, keyboardist Mark Simonsen, violinist and keyboardist Gabriel Pelly, drummer Dan Hall, and bassist Shane Hartman. And on this record they also collaborated with Mike Mills, formerly of R.E.M., now part of the Baseball Project. And this is like a poster of the album art. And there are the lyrics. And the cover design is called The Leaper, and it was and the cover artist is named Martique Loré. Excuse me. And of course the layout and design is done by Nathan Golub, who happens to design a lot of Yep Rock's albums. And that's my copy of the CD of Sprinter, the latest album by the Old Ceremony. Now, I first discovered this band pretty much through Yep Rock. They sent me a copy of their previous album called Fairy Tales and Other Forms of Suicide, which came out back in 2012. And I thought it was a really fantastic album because I really liked its pretty much unique sound and how it could blend all kinds of different instruments that you wouldn't typically see in a rock band, like vibraphone and violin and stuff like that. And there's like a banjo on there and all that stuff. So yeah, that was pretty much my first, exposure to the band. Was pretty much their first record was Yep Rock, which was that one. Because I saw like a promo for it on their website, and then they sent me a copy of it. Then a few years later, I ended up part of the Completist list, and I didn't know the band was putting out this album until Yep Rock sent me a copy of it. And I, started listening to the album and started, trying to analyze the sounds, and let me say, I think this is definitely one of the just best and most innovative albums of 2015. The opener on here is the title track, which has this weird little intro with like this booming bass drum, and like some sort of weird like feedback noise, and then eventually coming in, there's the guitar playing this little melody on it that like this song pretty much shows you that you're in for an album that's overall kind of a dark, like it's like a really gothic alternative rock album almost. And like the lyrics, talk about like, this man who wakes up like a sprinter, and it kind of deals with the man kind of deals with paranoia. And he's, and his lungs are always hungry, and they crawl up his throat. He's on a desperate search for air, so he's like dealing with some sort of state of paranoia. Musically, the song really does show the band's ability to, blend unusual instruments together into this one, like, really cinematic piece of music with its little vibraphone melody, and then there's, along with the use of a violin, and, the violin sounds as if it's played maybe through an amp or something like that. Like it sounds as if it's played through some sort of electric guitar amp or something like that. Then there's the song Live It Down, which is just a really good rock and roll song with like this thing on the piano where Mark is just going like dun 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 dun, like it's kind of this is the one song that shows the band kind of rocking harder than they ever have before, with just this very loud bang on the piano, as well as it's very guitar driven, and like the bass line, and like the bass line has this like driving rhythm on it. So like it shows the band, rocking a little harder, but it's not like too loud. The band isn't trying to make your ears explode while you listen to it. Instead they're just kind of trying new things and kind of trying to see how far they can go in terms of, how inventive they are. The lyrics, basically, there's this man that's, you know, uh, his like he thinks he's gonna die because he hears a hears a skeleton rattling, and like there's an enemy inside of him that's killing his self control. Um, and he's like wondering how long he can survive. So it's kind of companion piece to the first track because it deals with kind of the same character. Um, the song Ghosts of, and then of course the B3 organ plays out the song and then goes into like a crossfade into the next song on the album, Ghosts of Faraday, which is the song kind of about the lyrics of this song deal with someone who's never really quite felt at home in some sort of town because it's where a lot of people have died. So he kind of the imagery of the song is like pretty dark. And like obviously this person's father has died, and so like it's kind of a history to carry around you in a town full of shame. So in this song, the imagery being made in the song, it's like these little they you can picture these little like apparitions like passing through this character of like people that have died, you'll including her father, and then of course it's asking like, did you answer the call? And then at the end someone else dies and turns into this little like apparition passing through. Musically, the song is one of the softer moments on the album, driven by an acoustic guitar. But then at the end, it contains some really just cool vibraphone and really gorgeous violin, as well as this organ that kind of plays throughout the song. So like the band has some pretty prominent use of some of those kind of instruments. The song Magic Hour is kind of a song, has some sort of swagger, sort of loungy feel to it. Like some of the hand percussion has a little bit of a swagger feel, like Dan playing this like great bongo part on there. As well as this organ making all these weird like all these like creaky noises that the organ is making. And it's one of the two songs in the album where they worked with Mike Mills on there, who plays a really nice bass line on there, and just some really just fantastic background vocals. He like multi-tracks himself into like 8 different vocals, so it like sounds as if it's the band singing all together in one microphone, but it's really all Mike doing all that. He's like multi-tracking himself into a little like chorus right there. And it really does show kind of his he was kind of, I know he isn't really credited as producer, but if you listen to the song, you'll see he kind of worked as kind of part producer a little bit on some of this album. The song Mission Bells is kind of a song that is a song that has this like sort of a psychedelic thing going on with its psychedelic keyboard, and it's like along with its very thick and like almost kind of multi-tracked bass line on there. So it sounds like 4 bass guitars all playing together at the same time with the bass line. In fact, they're actually, actually, most of the band does play a bass part at some point on the album. The song Over Greenland is pretty interesting because it's just this one chord that repeats throughout the whole song. it starts out with this little bass line playing this one little chord, and Yango Haskins sings about, the song is kind of about being on the road and how you're away from your home so long that you can't really recognize it. Um, so you're wondering if you could just recognize the road you've always been on, because you've been on the road for so long, so that's kind of what it's about, and it just kind of builds up out of, that bass line. It's just one out. It's interesting how they can make a complete song out of just one little note for the song. Eventually they start playing that note out in the second verse with a piano and a harpsichord, both played by Mark, and eventually, and there's like a lot of different instruments going on at like the end, there's for example, that slide guitar, just that howling guitar at the end, sounds great on there, and then there's also use of a Chamberlin on there, played by Mark, doing these little strings, and at the end it just kind of explodes and kind of collapses at the end. But probably the best song on the album would have to be the track Fall Guy, which is about this. This song was inspired by, there was this skydiver who was doing this crazy stunt in this event that was sponsored by Red Bull or something like that. And he did die doing it. So, the song was kind of inspired by that. Because this, this guy, is, is going through this. So I'm not really sure exactly what it's about, but I do know where the inspiration came from. The skydiver almost killing himself, falling from the sky. And the production on this song is just fantastic. It actually really reminds me of REM. I mean the riff sounds like something Peter Buck probably should have been playing, and then also Mike Mills does once again appear playing bass and singing on here. So he has that distinctive melodic bass line, and then of course his vocal performance in the chorus, just amazing. His voice sounds so distinctive to the point where it sounds as if, it sounds as if, this album, this song kind of sounds like something maybe REM would do if they got real, weird in the studio. The song Hard Times strips things down to just an acoustic guitar, a vocal, and this weird keyboard instrument called a Chamberlin, which obviously the French horn that you're hearing at the background of the song is a Chamberlin played by Mark Simonsen. Some of these facts I've learned from, they have these all album commentary videos on YouTube of the story of some of these songs. Yeah, so that's where I learned kind of where some of this, magic came from. So yeah, the Chamberlin's obviously pretty crucial part of the song in terms of the French horn gives it the cinematic feel that it wouldn't really have otherwise if it wasn't on there. And the lyrics basically are kind of, reflecting on, Yango Haskins not only has a really distinctive voice, and the vocal production sounds pretty rough on this album because it's all echoey on here. So it shows, Mitch Easter's production is pretty rough and pretty raw. Yango Haskins, his lyrics on this song kind of reflect on, his early days a little bit. and like basically kind of the hard times he went through. Uh, and following that is actually a cover song, the only cover song that's on the album. It's called Effigy, or however you say it. Effigy. Yeah, that's how you say it. But it's like it's a cover of like a Greek pop song, written by these three people that I don't know how to pronounce. And apparently the band doesn't know Greek, so apparently they kind of learned the song, you know, they kind of had to learn it themselves. Yeah, but they didn't go studying a bunch of Greek literature. Instead, they just, kind of learned it from the lyrics and, just turn it into this little melody and just, make, and, like, it really does show the band, trying something different, going for something a little more cinematic than what they've done before. With the guitar playing this like Middle Eastern melody, and as well as this violin that kind of it almost kind of sounds a little bit like Greek music a little bit, but just kind of played, but instead it's like Greek music. It's just played via rock instruments. And the closing track is called Go Dark, and it's a song basically, I heard it was kind of about, Yango Haskins has a dog who's obviously very paranoid. He's like worried something's coming for him or something like that, so it's kind of about that. But what really makes this song so interesting is, like Live It Down, it contains this 4-part harmony track that sounds so much like the Beatles, like inspired by the Beatles. And then this is the one track where Chris Stamey did a like an orchestral arrangement with like strings and a trombone as well, and it gives it this real like dramatic feel. They play it like a James Bond movie almost, like to give it like this real drama. So yeah, we're gonna have to wrap it up pretty soon because I spent a lot of time on this video. But anyway, I think this album is definitely one of the best albums Yet Brock has released this year, along with the new Josh Rouse album that I reviewed recently, even though they didn't send me that one. But yeah, highly recommend this album. So yeah, that's my review of Sprinter by The Old Ceremony. I'll see you for episode 88.